Hey, everybody, welcome to the Boostly podcast. This is the podcast that gives hosts the tools, the tactics, the trainings, but most importantly, the confidence to go out there and get more direct bookings. And today we are going behind the host with another interesting short-term rental hospitality host and to ask questions about their hospitality business, to extract some juicy answers, things which you can learn from their inspirational stories, but also some tricks and tips that you may be able to implement within your hospitality business. So, my name is Liam Carolan, Mark Simpson's co-host, and today we are joined by Chris Jeub. He's been in hospitality since 2019, and he owns Monument Glamping, and you can go and check them out at monumentglamping.com. So we are talking about glamping today. So thank you for joining me today, Chris. Welcome along.
Well, thank you for having me on, Liam. I appreciate it.
Can you tell me anything about your family, I guess, and also how you got into hospitality in the first place?
Sure. My family is kind of the icebreaker. We have 16 children, so I'm one of these really large families.
Wow.
But most of them are adults. Most of them have gone and grown up, and they're on their own, and they're all into short-term rentals in some form. Either they own them and do them on the side while they're working through college. I have one daughter who's going through law school, and they are living off of the income from their short-term rental. I have another son who's into an RV park down in Oklahoma. He's developing a 300 unit RV park. I have another son who's out in Tennessee, working some short-term rental deals, and I have a son-in-law and daughter who's into cleaning and some tiny homes. He's actually built a couple tree houses. So all I had to say, we're all sort of into this, and I've only had 5 children at home right now, so I feel like this is I'm sunsetting the parenting the parenting world, but they're those two, they too are into the business here. They oftentimes might clean some tents and deliver some goods to some guests or something like that, kind of into the hospitality world. They're all teenagers right now. Well, my youngest is an 11-year-old, and
Nice.
but he's still very active. He takes care of the hot tubs and things like that, and so it's a big family. It's turning into a family business. So I was a teacher, so I taught at a school here in town, and English teacher. English teachers don't make a lot of money, so I had a side business on the side, which was a publishing company. So I published curriculum for academic speakers and debaters, and so that was my shtick, and that kept us here at this house and on this property. It's a nice property. It's 6.5 acres. It's got a creek in the backyard and everything. Well, I had my summers off, so so in 2019, Wendy and I said, well, let's remodel the bedroom. It's kind of outdated. We need to really do it, and a total remodel, like to the studs, and tore everything out. So I set my hunting tent out in the backyard and put it up and moved my master bedroom outdoors. Loved it. Oh, it was so nice. The kids were indoors, we were outdoors. We were just having the time of the moon comes up over the creek and everything. It's really a beautiful property. And at the end, when we were done with the remodel, about a month later, we decided that, let's put it up on Airbnb and see what happens. We booked out for the rest of the summer. I couldn't believe it. And it's like, wow, this is I'm making money off of my hunting gear. I couldn't believe that. So the next summer we decided to take it a little bit more seriously, and we put up a second tent about halfway through the summer. So I can give you some numbers here. This might inspire some people out there. So the first summer we made $2,400, and I was like, wow, this is good money. And the next summer we cleared almost $20,000 off of 2 tents. Now that
Wow.
was the COVID summer, so we thought maybe it was just a fad and this was going to pass. But it at least was like validation, like wow. And not only that, Liam, we loved doing it. I mean, this was something we didn't know we would enjoy so much, and because none of us worked in hotels or any kind of hospitality. The hospitality wasn't even in. I mean, we like to throw parties. I guess that's hospitality. But and so the third year, that's when the lid blew off the pan, and we were like, wow, this is something, because we cleared nearly $70,000 in the summer.
Whoa. Wow.
Now we took it seriously. We started winter glamping. I think is a thing that glampers should be doing, because there is a demand out there. We expanded to container homes. One of my sons was a welder, and he created these container homes that are really cool. And we partnered with one of my neighbors and used some of her land and stuff. So there were some things we did. We really did expand, so that number isn't well, the number's still impressive,
That's
but
amazing.
we were working it, and we were really enjoying it. That's when we started to get in trouble with the county. And the county, we had a neighbor who did not like what we were doing. Just
Mm.
one. That's all it takes. And then it was actually a year ago this month. No, wait, it's February. This is coming out in the spring. Anyway, it was early 2022 rather, that I had to work with the county to get properly permitted. And at first that was somewhat devastating, because we were really on the roll. I had left teaching, and I sold my business. So I was like, my publishing business. So I was all in. Wendy and I were in. We were like, this is the coolest thing since sliced bread, and we're on it. But then that threat was coming in of being shut down. We really turned that to our advantage, and that's the good story. I gave a presentation at the American Glamping Association in October that went it didn't really go viral, but it got very popular among the glamping professionals. So I encourage people to go and look at that video at I've got it online somewhere. You could do a YouTube search. Yeah, I am becoming more and more a student of hospitality the more I get into it. Now, I mentioned before I was a business owner of a publishing business, so I guess the business side of things I understood, or I wasn't intimidated by.
Mhm.
Every business owner would say they learn as they grow, so they get into it right away, and they kind of get their grease in their fingernails while they're working, and they make things up as they go. And that's the secret success model for any business person. But the more I get into it, the more I really understand that, boy, hospitality is an art. And I have to read not only books on financing and accounting and marketing and stuff like that, and be a business person. I have to get into hospitality, because that's the core of what I do. For example, I just finished the book this morning. It's called Unreasonable Hospitality. It's a bestseller out there in the business world, but it's all about restaurant hospitality. And I'm not doing restaurant hospitality, but I have to become a master of the idea of hospitality. I stay very close to the people who kind of get that and understand that. I'm a big fan of being a member of the American Glamping Association. We get together every week. I sit in there. I very much appreciate the ones who are former hotel hospitality managers and stuff, and now they've got this glamping business going. I kind of like am a sponge to what they have to say about how to treat a guest, how to make the experience magical. Let me give you a couple examples of things we do on our property that's unique, because there is a sense of improvisation that comes with hospitality that makes it magical, and we try to process it the best we can. But if you get too processed, it doesn't become magical anymore. So one of the things we did, we got what's called a B&B liquor license here in Colorado, and so we're allowed to give away our homemade wine. So we make homemade, so everybody who comes here gets a gift of homemade wine.
Nice.
And boy, they love that. They just get a kick out of it. And we don't tell them they're getting it, so we don't advertise it. So when they get here, and here's another thing about hospitality, that this is another trick to the trade that somebody could take with it. We let them self-check into our tents. We used to be there at their tent and try to meet them at the door, kind of thing, and check them off and greet them there. That's not nearly as good as what we came up with. We let them self-check in and give them, and we can see them from we can peek around in our, it's out the window and stuff to make sure that they're getting settled in. We let them check in for about 10 or 15 minutes. And then we roll in on our little, ATV and stuff like that. Say, hey, how you doing? You got any questions? Stuff. that's a very strategic move, because they're exploring for 10 or 15 minutes. You see what I mean? They drive up to the tent, they walk up on the deck, they look at the fire pit, they look at the grill, they open the grill up, they see the cast iron pan, they open up, ooh, there's a sign there, welcome to, relax, sit back and relax, they're glamping. Ooh, here's the hot tub. Ooh, and they have this awesome moment of discovering. And then here's me coming up, or Wendy coming up, or one of my kids coming up and say, hey, how you doing? And and we would like to gift you with this bottle of wine. They're like, nice. Whoa! And so now they're like, this is over the top. And that's how you get a 5-star review every time. And I'm consistent with 5-star reviews on my OTAs. So that's the magic we create in there.
That's amazing. So thank you so much, Chris, for this. And thank you too, if you're listening to the Boostly podcast or on the YouTube channel, we know there's a lot of places you can put your attention. We thank you for putting it with Boostly. That's it from me. Chris, is there any closing comments or anything I missed?
Hey, no, this is a lot of fun, Liam. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, buddy. And everybody, we'll see you on the next podcast. Bye for now.
Having a blast, gonna get it on the Boostly podcast. Boostly like Bruce Lee, cause it's so hard and the T is loose leaf. Making up those rhymes, don't write it, just do it loosely.